welcome Avi Bahat all the way from Israel. Pleasure to have you here. Avi is a Trager approach instructor. He uses this approach speciality to teach people how to live their daily lives in a relaxed body orientation. Avi is also a structural integrator and teaches it in his special orientation. He is 36 years teacher of the Paula method, neuromovement therapy, and longtime massage and touch and movement therapy teacher. Avi, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you. I am very well. I feel great. It's nice weather. A little bit windy today, but feeling good.
Nice. Avi, the first question I'd like to ask you is, what makes the Trager bodywork approach a somatic approach?
Well, I think it is the somatic approach because Dr. Milton Trager, what he discovered about 60 years ago was that it's quite possible to change how you feel in your body right now, on the spot. And he developed a method that we call the Trager approach. And that's because it's really more an approach than just a method, but it is also a treatment method as well. Well, how does it teach this thing? How to when I get up in the morning and maybe I have a pain in my neck or uncomfortable somewhere else in my body, and I'm telling you that Dr. Milton Trager taught us that we can change that. We can change that by choosing the specific quality of feeling that I want for myself for right now. And there are steps to reach that option. And the beautiful thing in it is that once you learn how to do this shift, it's the name of this, what we are doing, then you can do it during your daily life, or for myself, during my work, also as a structural integrator, which takes some force, some effort in my body. And I learn how to do it easily, how to do it softly, how not to put on myself some strain and contractions and then illnesses that comes from the work. So, yeah, this is how I see it. This is how it is very much somatic. Of course, we didn't talk about the constant things, the things that you have for a long time, the chronic things. So they are, of course, in a way, an outcome of something that is happening also in the mind, and finding, oh, I just need to do that, which I want to reveal and tell you what, and that can change. Well, not immediately when it is a long time habit, but just like any other habit, it is possible to make a shift, to change a habit, to replace it with something else. You just need to know how to do that. And he gives us a way to do that.
So what does a Trager session look like in terms of the setup? How do you go about it? Could you explain that a little bit to us?
Yeah, sure. So a session is divided to two. You have the part that is on the table, and you have the part that is teaching you how to use what you received on the table. On the table, I'm rocking the person. People know that they saw it in many different modalities of work, that most of them took something from Trager and developed it to other ways. So rocking movements are the most usual moves that you will see the practitioner doing. The way that he is doing it might be totally different from another modality. So I'll describe how I do it. And it's, first of all, my hands usually are not the doer. They are not doing. They are the connector. They are connecting the two bodies to be one body. As we are connected, as you see me now, I'm moving, I'm rocking myself. I'm sitting right now on a chair and I'm rocking myself with my feet and on the chair. But if my hands were just holding something, then that thing, that body that I'm touching will move with me. and I might move quicker or slower, but the movement is always created from my connection to the ground, through my connection in myself and to the other body. So this whole thing is one body that is connected to the ground, moving on the ground. So the relationship that the person receiving it is feeling is the relationship between his body and the ground, not the relationship between his body and me. I'm out of the picture. I'm just a connector. So that's one part which it leads to exploration and to get the experience of how is it that the body, your body, can move so easily, so with effortlessly, so lightly, because I will be doing that move, these moves in your body. Always, as I said before, I'm connected. So when I'm doing it, I'm already using the Traeger principles that I was talking about before. How do I do it so it's easy in my body? I'm not creating any strain on myself. It's because I'm well connected to the ground, and the whole movement is like my whole central axis is moving on the ground from my feet. They are the doer, not my hands. The other part of the session will be in standing usually, though it can be also in sitting and in any position. And then I will be teaching my client how to create this feeling, this sensation of being moved so easily. So his body can move so easily, he can do it for himself. And there are steps into that, which I'm quite willing to show, at least part of it. So these are the two parts of the session.
And the first step with the client on the table, how does the somatic learning take place when you're giving this rocking impulse using the whole of yourself into the whole of your student or client? Are you thinking about the nervous system? Are you thinking about the impetus? Are you thinking about them learning, or how does it work?
So in fact, the first thing that will happen usually, before even inducing any movement, I will take the weight of a part of the body of my client. When I'm taking the weight of another person, then already, what is the reaction of my client? Is he resisting it? Is he helping me, giving me his leg or hand or arm? Or is he just allowing himself just to feel how much this part is weighing? So already there in the first interaction, there is a lot of information. And my guidance will be, well, I want you to recognize, first of all, that you are supported. You are supported from the earth, lying down right now on the table, but the table for you is the earth. Yeah, it brings you the support, the physical support of the earth. And when I'm taking any part of the body, I want you to still recognize the support. Now, this is a big shift, because some people, well, they can support maybe the earth, not everybody, but maybe they can. Can they also recognize support from another person? Of course, it depends what is the history of these people. But then this method will teach them to recognize support, and as opposed to recognize I'm doing to you something, which will happen in many other modalities of work. So that in every aspect afterwards, when in every kind of movement, in every kind of wave that I'm trying to transmit through the body, in order to allow the body and the mind of the person to recognize how he himself is connected within himself, we both feel, where is it blocked? Or is it going? Or does it feel more kind of separating and falling apart, or too contracted and so on? And then I can invite his both his mind, his conscious mind, And Dr. Milton Traeger was talking all the time that his work is with the subconscious mind of the client. So he gives him a steady rocking movement as if to bore the mind and to go into the possibility of easy movement. You never take the movement to the limits. You are working on the free zone so that the experience is of freedom, of easiness. And this is how you get into the subconscious mind, and you are bringing there a new pattern of an option of movement that is easy, that is free, and so on. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. So when this process happens and this learning takes place and they learn to inhibit and you're accessing their unconscious mind, then I'm assuming that their movement pattern would change in a more healthy way after the session. And I'm also wondering, how does that change their behavior and who they are as a person in the world if you're really tapping into their unconscious way of thinking?
I think that obviously when I ask, well, I didn't talk about that so much, but one of the ways to teach my client how to do the shift, how to change from hardness to softness, we ask the subconscious mind a question. And the question is about a feeling. How would it feel had it been softer? And I'm asking that while I'm rocking him. What is softer? What is easier? Sometimes Milton Traeger was asking, what is nothing? Relating to non-doing as opposed to doing. And I ask it sometimes aloud and many times not aloud, but to the subconscious of the person. And I'm getting back a sensation of how it is when it is softer. Because there is something that is working between me and him. I'm asking this question to his subconscious mind, but it's also coming into my mind and subconscious mind. And I'm attuning to what is softness. And my client is receiving that shift that happened in me, and he is reacting to it in softening. So this is the process.
So there's
you asked how does it take it to the daily life then, and does it change him? So I was talking about softening, because if I used to be a bit more hard in my heart area and my shoulders area and so on, and all the time I'm asking about what is softer, what is lighter, what is easier, then slowly I become that person that is lighter, easier, and softer. So that's how it is. And of course, I ask that many times. So you build a new habit. For instance, so many people have this tension here, and myself had it a long time also. And I was just asking, how does it feel when it is softer? I was driving in the car. I can't do any move. But I can ask this question, what a softer feeling here would feel right now? And I get the feeling, it gets softer. So this is how it is affecting.
So you have to really walk your talk. You really have to embody the process so that you can have this hookup and communication going on. So they're learning from you because you've walked down that path. Is that part of the process as well, Avi?
Totally. I mean, you can't, it's just, well, in other modalities also, like in the Alexander technique, you cannot teach the Alexander technique. You have to do it. So if I'm not connected to the ground, if my connection through my hands is doing, from my hands, I'm already transmitting a disconnection in my own body, and therefore a hardness. Somewhere my body is working hard for this. So that's impossible, because I need to transmit what I want. I want the softness. I need to be that and connected. So I can be strong and soft. I can be whatever I choose to be.
It sounds like the strategies and the principles here with all the speakers that I'm working with is the same, but the execution is in a different way. Like
Yeah.
everybody works with the whole of ourselves in relation to the whole of our client or student. We're thinking about how we influence the nervous system, how we affect the subconscious mind, how they learn during the process, how we are a felt sense of what we're doing as we're working, to teach softness and inhibiting and letting go, to work more slowly so that they can truly listen and so forth. All the strategies seem to be just the same in all of these ways of working, but the execution is different. And I'm hearing that true with the Traeger. It is very different, that whole rocking sort of thing, how to apply those strategies and principles with that rocking. It's quite curious to me.
Well, I can demonstrate, not on the table, but I can demonstrate, well, let me show it in few steps. First of all, for myself, what I'm teaching my client, I can just teach whoever is looking at this demonstration, and then I will demonstrate a little bit on my friend here, how I can give her the feeling of lightness on her hand, arm, and so on. So let's see that this is working okay. Yeah, okay. So the first thing, as I said in the beginning of the of the talk, will be recognizing support. So right now I'm standing on the floor and I need my mind to recognize the support of the floor. So what I just did now, I shifted my weight to one leg. And now I'm continuing to shift the weight to the other leg. Now the point is that it's not about the movement. Usually people are seeing what you do, they do the same. It's not about the movement. It's about the recognition of the support of the floor. When I recognize it, it is affecting my back. Each time on that side, it is getting support, so it is letting go. The other side is totally relaxed because there is no weight on it. And then I shift again the weight to the other leg. So this is doing a double thing because it is also giving time for the muscles to release, but it is also keeping the mind in the recognition of the support, because the mind will shift to another place if I don't change. So this is the whole principle of the rocking movements, that I do the same thing over and over again, but it is all the time a new thing. Each movement is new for the mind because it's a movement, it's not just standing. Now, so that's just by shifting weight. If anybody who has some back pain, any pain in the body, it can reduce the pain just because you recognize support, there is less tension in the body. Like I used to do it while washing dishes. It is helping my lower back not to hurt. Of course, I do it while working. And let me take you to the second step. The second step is doing something with my arms, because that's what we do in life. We do something with our hands. So the first thing that we learn is that the arm itself, it has weight. So I'm now lifting my arm to feel how much it weighs, and then I just let it go. And I do it again. I lift it to feel how much it weighs. It means that I lift it with the minimal effort that is needed to lift it. And then I just even let go that effort, so it is falling back. So that's a very useful new habit. Like when I was just taking the glass of the water, I'm lifting it and I'm weighing how much does it weigh. That means that I'm using only the minimal effort needed to lift the weight of the glass. Now I take it to, it's not exactly rocking movement, but something similar. After I lifted my arm, I give it a swing, like that. So when it is falling down, it will not hurt me. Like when falling like this, it hurts a little bit in the inside part of the elbow. But if I'm pushing it a little bit forward and then let it fall, and I'll show you from the side, yeah, I lift it with the help of my leg, just as I told you that I'm lifting my client's body parts. And then again with my legs, I'm throwing it away, and it is just like the rocking, it is swinging. In the swing, what I care about is how much it weighs, the feeling of my arm. Oh, this is my arm. This is the weight of my arm. And I can even just choose to feel how much weighs the palm of the hand. You know, it's a movement like as if you have a coin here, but you don't need to have anything. It's just the hand, how much it weighs. And note that even with this movement, in fact, I'm weighing it from my legs, from my knees, from my ankles. So I'm weighing it from the earth. And then I just let it go again. Now I invite my friend Yael, please come. Hi, Yael.
Hi.
So when you want to start to help somebody else to feel the weight of their own hand, arm, body part, you take the weight of their hand. And as we said in the beginning, maybe they will help me, maybe they will resist me, and maybe like Yael, oh, she's okay, she's letting go because she can let go. That's easy for her. Then I can swing her arm as I want, but it's always in a coordinate with how much can she let go. And she's letting go fine, so I can let her feel the weight of the palm of the hand, or the weight of the whole arm, or even here it's a little bit more difficult for her. Let's go a bit closer so they can see better here. I'm now trying to lift the shoulder blade, and here she has a holding. So that's a bit more difficult for her. So I'm just holding here, and we're rising. Yeah, that's it. Now when she got it, it's becoming easier. So that's this kind of moves. Thank you, Yael. This kind of moves are what I'm teaching. Of course, it develops much more. And in the end, for myself, it is helping me to, when I'm rocking the client, when I'm doing any kind of work, I either ask myself, what is softer? What is easier? I'm always connected to the ground. And that takes me away from the usual pattern that we use when we do something, especially like I myself as a structural integrator. You know, with structural integration, you apply some pressure. So if I apply pressure, what will come from the other side? Resistance. But if I ask, oh, how would it feel had it been softer? Suddenly, the way that I'm putting my pressure changed. I'm not using so much force anymore. I'm open in my chest, in my absorbing of the reaction, and I'm inviting the reaction of my client to be opening up. So this is a demonstration of how I take the trigger to be an approach used in another method. Okay.
Thank you for that demonstration and more deeper understanding. Can I ask you, what has the trigger approach, how has it influenced and affected your life in terms of your development?
Oh, yeah. That's nice. Well, in fact, I was the first meeting the trigger approach in 1990, about half a year after I already met the structure integration. So for me, they grow in me together. And it's sometimes even difficult for me to separate one from the other because the effect was together. But I will explain how it affected me especially, because I suffered back pain, lower back pain from early childhood, always, especially after an effort. And I was a sport guy. I did a lot of sports like gymnastics and athletics, but it wasn't working well in my body, and it would be contracted and many times spasm and so on. So learning about the central axis, which I learned in the structural integration, helped a lot. But it's not enough, because when I'm well organized on my structure, like in the structural integration, it is not yet teaching me how to release, how to let go. So the combination of both, that made a shift in my personal life, because before that, I was struggling in walking in long trips, climbing mountains. I would suffer in my lower back. Standing in a mall, I would suffer in my lower back. And once I applied, what did I apply? In walking, I applied the feeling of the weight of my leg. So while I'm walking and the leg is now in the air, I'm feeling the weight of my leg. That's all. I took other parts from the structural integration, which taught me a better direction of where to put my foot and my knee. But on the way, I had the feeling of the weight of my own body part, and that made a lot of release, so that there was no more strain, not in my legs and not in my lower back. And I think that if I didn't learn the Traeger approach, for me specifically, because, you know, everybody is different, but for me, I would kill myself with the structural integration, because I was like that. I was a strong guy, and I love to use my power, and it would really hurt me. And taking this approach of, oh, what is easier, what is softer, really changed my life. So I can thank for that.
So you got rid of your back pain, and you also learned how to be soft in your own being.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, I'm teaching both methods, and it is so different. And I really struggle with applying the Traeger attitude, the Traeger approach when teaching structural integration, because there it's, for me, always there is a yes and a no. And in the Traeger approach, there is another way. So, and I was thrilled when I first met a teacher that was correcting me, not by saying it's wrong, but you can try this way as well and see how it feels to you. Oh, this is wonderful. So, I really appreciate this approach, and it really goes into life, into relationships, being softer and open to other ways, and not only the right way, and so on. Yes.
So it's been a wonderful developmental path for you.
Oh, sure, it is. Yeah, it is. Of course, I've done a lot of other things as well in my life, and it all combines, and the Traeger approach is there always. Yeah.
And the teaching part of it, you're a teacher. Is there many Traeger schools in the world where people can train in this? What is that like?
Yeah, well, there are not so many, but there are, and there is a website which is quite unique, because it's a website that is serving the whole world, the whole Traeger world. Of course, each country has its own website as well, but if you just write Traeger.com, you get to this website, and from there you can get to any other country. So you can find where you can learn it. And what I wanted to emphasize in this talk, because we were talking more about the what we call the Traeger for daily life. It's really a section in the Traeger approach. It's the way that we can teach. The practitioners can have a small class to teach people these moves that I've just shown you now, and by the way, it can be taught also through the Zoom. So you can find a Traeger for Daily Life class, which is not learning how to rock people, but maybe just a little bit how I demonstrated on Yael. In the family, you can do things, but mainly for yourself. And of course, you can have sessions and you can learn. So there are between 20 and 30 instructors around the world teaching it. And you can reach them. By the way, for the Traeger for Daily Life, there is also a special website also. You can write down Traeger for Daily Life and see what they offer you, and maybe find a practitioner in your area. Yeah.
Thank you. And is there anything else that you want to share with us and like to add?
Yeah, maybe I want to add one or two more of the principles, especially one, what Dr. Milton Traeger called the hookup. So hookup is a term that he was using, and I'm not using it so much anymore. I'm just talking about getting connected to what? To a specific quality. But for Dr. Milton Traeger, the beginning of any session would be, first of all, he hooks up. He hooks up to what he was calling all surrounding pleasantness. And from that state of feeling that pleasantness is there. So he was just connecting to it. That's what he called to hook up. Okay. And then he's touching the client. And then when he's doing anything, it is coming from there. And so that's the point that I wanted to mention, because hookup is also as well for everyday life. You want to, okay, you get into a place where you're not sure how it will feel. You choose to hook up to that, or you can also choose another quality. Whatever you choose, you can hook up to it and come into the interaction from that state. And it's more or less, it's not exactly the same, but it is almost similar to the principle that I was talking before, asking the subconscious mind about specific quality. It's not exactly the same, but it's more or less the same. The other principle that I wanted to relate to was the pausa. We call it in Italian pausa, the pause. So that is something that we do a lot in Traeger sessions, even if it is on the table or in the moves that we do for ourselves. So that usually what we'll do, I will work on one arm and then pause. So in the pause, there is a listening inside, and you feel the difference. Oh, that made a difference. Just making just one move like that and then pause, there is already a difference in the two sides. So the pause is also, it's working in the brain. Oh, I'm listening to what happened. You know, Feldenkrais used to use this so much to do the shift in the brain from one side to the other side. So we just do it to listen first, feel the difference, and then do the other side and so on. So the pause is part of the work. It's for people who do massage, sometimes it's in the beginning, oh, what is this? Suddenly you are not being touched. There is a pause. Yeah, we give you time to absorb, to digest all the information that ran through your body with these rocking movements, and we don't need to touch you at the same time. So that's the other principle I wanted to mention.
You know, if I had one word to describe this summit for me, it would be pause. It has come up so much in so many different ways with so many speakers. And I don't know if it's like a lesson for me because it just seems really, really in my space and in my face and all around me is like the pause, just to be quiet, to wait, to listen, to say nothing, and how so very important that is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Avi, it's been a wonderful talk with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best in all your teaching and practice. You really are the embodiment of what you speak of. You look glowing with health. And by the way, you still have a lot of power.
Thank you very much. And good. It was a good idea to speak about the Traeger approach. Thank you.